Stop watching people live your dream life. Honestly, I speak to people all the time, and it's something I've noticed is how easy it is to become an expert on somebody else's life whilst you're quietly becoming a stranger in your own. You probably know exactly where your favourite creator goes on holiday, what they eat, how they train, what time they wake up, what podcasts they listen to, what they wear, what their favourite clothes are, what they do this food. Yet if I asked you a simple question, what actually makes you feel alive, you'd probably need longer to answer than if I asked you about them. That isn't because you're lazy, isn't because you're incapable. It's because you've spent so long consuming other people's stories that somewhere along the way you forgot that you should be creating your own, and that's dangerous because the longer you spend watching someone else, it means you become an extra in your own life. And I know exactly what that feels like because I've lived both sides of that story. There was a time when I wasn't building a life that I loved. I was surviving one day, secretly wanting to escape. I was in debt, addicted to sniff, drugs, chasing highs, any excuse not to sit with myself because the silence was louder than the noise that I was surrounding myself with. And from the outside looking in, I could still smile, I could still crack jokes, looked like I was living a wicked life, and everyone else thought I was all right. But when I was on my own, there was this constant feeling that life was happening somewhere else and everyone else had been given the instruction manual for life apart from me. Maybe that's where you are. Maybe you wake up every morning already tired, not because your body needs more sleep, but because your soul's exhausted from carrying a life that doesn't fit you anymore. So you drag yourself through another Monday, count yourself down to Friday, convince yourself that the weekend will fix everything. Then Sunday night rolls around and that same old heaviness is back in your chest because you know nothing's changed. Then Monday comes round again and it's the same old situation, the same old conversations, the same day on repeat like Groundhog Day. The same complaints, the same scrolling, the same shitty gossiping conversations, the same promises that you're going to start next week. And before you know it, a year's disappeared and you've become frighteningly good at living the same day, week, month, 12 times in a row. That's not living, that's existing. And nobody tells you how easy it is to drift into that life because it doesn't happen overnight. It happens one comfortable decision at a time. One evening spent scrolling instead of creating. One conversation where you don't actually say what you think. One dream pushed to next year because you're too busy. And then one day you wake up and wonder where the fuck the last decade went. That's the hardest truth I ever had to accept. Apart from being a broke, in-debt addict, it wasn't even the fact I'd made all these terrible decisions. The hardest truth was realising that nobody was coming to rescue me. Not some magical relationship, not a promotion, not another holiday, not another motivational video or podcast or Joe Rogan clip. The only person that could rebuild my life was the bloke staring back at me in the mirror every morning. And that's where gratitude and growth was born.